Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to speak on the motion brought to this House by the member for Camden Share the Dignity campaign, and note that this House is unified in its support of this important campaign, and I am pleased to say that the Newtown electorate office has been a collection point in Newtown for this campaign on a number of occasions, and we will continue to do so in future campaigns. I think one of the key things here, and I give absolute credit to the member for Camden for doing this, as someone who recently was on a podcast hosted by Yumi Stimes on the ABC called Ladies We Need to Talk, where Yumi raises a number of taboo subjects that she believes need more attention. I was personally on the episode talking about the mental load, but one of the other episodes, and I would encourage everyone to have a listen, it was called Let's Slay the Menstrual Taboos, and one of the things that happened in that podcast was the fact that because we do not talk enough about these issues, it means that actually the policy changes, the scientific changes, the other support and empowerment changes for women and girls as a result of dealing with issues around menstruation is not dealt with because it is a taboo subject that we don't talk about. And so a huge credit to the member for Camden for bringing this motion to the House. I think it is very important for us to remember that in actual fact this is a human rights issue, and it is Human Rights Watch that in fact outlines a number of serious concerns about the fact that in actual fact we see women and girls' participation in society, in education as a whole, being hugely disadvantaged as a result of their inability to be able to access basic needs. As is very clear, and as every woman in this place will say, a period is not a luxury. It is not a luxury that we would engage with without the idea, and the idea that, just as a side note, there is a luxury tax put on such sanitary products is another day for another campaign. But one of the things that Human Rights Watch does say is that for years human rights organisations have documented how periods and the poor policy and programmatic support for managing menstruation have had a negative impact on women's and girls' human rights. Now, I want to make it very clear, as I have by the fact that the Newtown office is a collection point for Share the Dignity campaign, that this is an important initiative. But let us not kid ourselves that there are many things that this House can do, that this government could be doing, that would actually look at the bigger picture around supporting women and girls who are facing homelessness because of domestic violence, and being able to support women and girls in the dignity that they deserve and the human rights that they deserve. And the fundamental one that we need to be focusing on here is a housing first approach. It is all well and good to talk about the additional services and support that can be given by charities and organisations like Sharing the Dignity to be able to provide this support. But we need to recognise that the government has a key role to play in addressing homelessness, and homelessness as a relation to domestic violence, and that includes putting in significant funds and investment to ensuring that we are addressing the need for housing first approach when it comes to homelessness in this state. It is something that would address the 60,000 strong people on the public housing waiting list, and there is an immediate reform that could be done to help women and girls in fleeing domestic violence and facing domestic violence, and that is when the rental reforms come to this House early next year, for the government to enact the changes that would make it easier for women and young people fleeing domestic violence to be able to be protected in the private rental market.